What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Advice. We are back with part 3 of my global challenge run. In the last 2 videos we went 5-1, leaving off with a loss to the battle room. So here we are now, 7th battle. We got Rai, and Rai has a Zamazenta team. So normally I would consider Zamazenta heavily in my favor, especially when they have like the rain version. But with Chi-Yu on the team, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I would say it even skews it to be in their favor. And so I do have to be a little bit more careful because Amoonguss is fantastic against Zamazenta, but Chi-Yu makes that a little bit more difficult, as does the Chien Pao. But we have things to do against it, so I'm going to lead Urshifu Ensign, bring Amoonguss in the back, and then obviously Calyrex Ice is coming. So we'll see. I really hope that the Zamazenta team brings Rillaboom, because it's nice to get their grassy terrain working against them with my leftovers. It makes Amoonguss exceptionally difficult for them to remove, being that they are majority physical attackers, besides that aforementioned Chi-Yu. So we got Chi-Yu Flutter Mane lead, likely booster speed Flutter Mane. So the way I break down responding to this lead is I think about which one of their Pokemon do they value. Which one are they going to try to protect most likely? Now, in my opinion, Chi-Yu is really good for them against my Cali Ice. So I think that that's the slot that they want to protect, especially since standard Chi-Yu build doesn't really have anything to threaten Urshifu or Incineroar. So I am willing to go Terra Water just to make sure I don't die to Moonblast and try to eliminate this Flutter Mane, and we will fake out the Chi-Yu. So they do switch out Chi-Yu into Zamazenta. I usually don't like to go fake out turn 1, but I was just worried about them going Moonblast and then being like a faster Scarf Chi-Yu than my Urshifu. Like timid, if they're timid Scarf, and double tapping Urshifu, wasting my Terra. So instead, we get a useless fake out, but we do survive the Moonblast with Terra. And actually, it looks like their Flutter Mane was bulky enough that without Terra, we wouldn't have picked up. So Terrestrialization there was the right play, obviously, offensively and defensively. And now without the Flutter Mane and speed control, we're in a much better position to deal with their Chi-Yu. And Flutter Mane is also really annoying, especially when it's that bulky, because they threaten the taunt on my Amoonguss, which makes it a lot harder to deal with Zamazenta. And seeing that they bring in Rillaboom here puts us in a really good position. So I'm going to switch in Cali Ice on the potential Grassy Glide, and I will switch in Amoonguss for the Incineroar to cover the Body Press. Pretty good turn 1 for us. Now we try to reposition and see if we can assert our dominance in the mid-game. So the reason that I think that Zamazenta is a winning matchup for us without the Chi-Yu is because Body Press tends to do just about half, maybe a tiny bit more than half, to Ice Rider. But with leftovers, we can make that a 3-shot. And Amoonguss also makes it really difficult for them. If we can intimidate their Zamazenta, then Body Press or Heavy Slam doesn't do really anything to Amoonguss, and we can just keep abusing Regenerator. So here I have a pretty free Glacial Lance, and I would like to just Spore the Zamazenta to get rid of their threat of clicking Wide Guard. Okay, they get a crit Heavy Slam, but we are faster than their Rillaboom. We don't pick up, but if they go for a Wood Hammer or a U-turn that we tank, they died a Rocky Helmet, Look at that. Crit did not matter. Crit was annoying, but crit did not matter. And we get off the delicious Spore into their Zamazenta, so they can't threaten us with Wide Guard anymore. And now all they have left is Chi-Yu and a Sleeping Zama, so I should tank a Heat Wave and obviously a Snarl, but I'm worried about Overheat or Dark Pulse, Flinch especially. And I want to take advantage of the Zama turns, you know, because I'm only guaranteed to get one sleep turn, so I want to do something offensive right now. So I'm just going to Hype Horsepower into Chi-Yu and go for the Rage Powder and just try to eliminate Chi-Yu right now. Because with Fake Out and Surging Strikes, we should be able to handle this Zamazenta. They do go for the Dark Pulse, so we sacrifice our Mungus. But as long as we connect this high horsepower, we should just win. And we do connect. And they go down. So that's a nice little attack boost for our Cali Ice. So they've taken their one guaranteed sleep turn. Because of that, I would like to just bring in Urshifu and get off of Surging Strikes. And if they do sleep 2 turns, then we should automatically win. Now, they have not used Terrestrialization yet, so there's a chance they're like Terra Water, Terra Dragon, Terra Grass. But we have Fake Out and Swords Dance, so I can just go for a Glacial Lance here just for the guaranteed damage and Surging Strikes. And if they get the 1 turn Wake Up, we can figure out what to do. But battle was canceled. That's it. GG to my opponent. Alright, so game 8, we have decently rated Sunroom with a potential Tailwind option. A lot of fire threats. My team does not respond well to teams that have multiple offensive fire types. So I think we got to go really defensive here. Go Cali Ice and Incineroar in the lead. Threaten some Fake Out. They don't look like they have much to stop Fake Out. Urshifu is good here. It's difficult if they have the sun up, but close combat is still pretty good into everything. And if we can stall their sun or they don't bring it, then Urshifu is exceptional. So I think that in the last slot, it really depends on whether they want to go Tailwind or Trick Room. If they go Tailwind, then Raikou is much better with Electro Web and just Natural Bolt, good typing. But I think I'm actually more worried about the Trick Room possibility. And so I want to go Amoonguss, have the Terra Water. Terra Water is really good here, especially under Trick Room. I think this works. Good luck, have fun to my opponent. Pretty interesting, unique team. It's kind of similar to the one that Justin Tang won the last regional with, but the Torkoal gives it a little more bit of a potent Trick Room option. So, Incineroar Cali Ice versus Roaring Moon Cali Ice. So keep in mind that As One ability does not respond to speed order except with itself. So my As One going off before theirs indicates that it's either a speed tie or I am faster than them. But my Incineroar's Intimidate going after As One does not reveal that my Incineroar is slower than their Cali Ice. So they could be slower than my Incineroar even though As One went off first for them. We get the Intimidate off into Roaring Moon, but we do not get it into Cali Ice. Now, I would love to go for a knockoff into Cali Ice here, but I also don't want to take a knockoff into my Cali Ice. So I'm considering switching into a Amoonguss here, but I just think that if they go for a Glacial Lance, I immediately lose. So I would like to instead go for my own Glacial Lance and just go for the Fake Out, keep them honest, prevent them from getting a knockoff or a Tailwind. They do protect. And wow, they actually don't protect their Cali Ice, so my knockoff play would have been better. And get a little chip into their Cali Ice. And they actually close combat me, wow. So that's unfortunate because I am EV'd to survive high horsepower into Glacial Lance, but now I am in Glacial Lance range, so I'm going to go for my own Glacial Lance and switch in Amoonguss because I do not want their Calyrex to start getting attack boosts. So I have a feeling they're much more likely to go for the Tailwind than the Trick Room, and that means that Amoonguss is not as valuable. And yeah, they do go for the Tailwind. And just a Glacial Lance. We do survive that. And we remove their knockoff threat, so they got up a Tailwind. But I have an attack boost and they don't. So depending on who they have in the back, we're in decent position. Not amazing position, but decent position. But yeah, getting that knockoff into Ice Rider turn 1 would have been amazing. Okay, so we are heavily threatened here, and I cannot Rage Powder because Ogerpon is a grass type, and they're using Glacial Lance. So I'm going to go Terra Normal to cover for the Terra Fire Ivy Cudgel and try to throw an Intimidate at them and get some Regenerator back. Never know, it could be useful later. And going Terra Normal in front of a close combat Glacial Lance Ice Rider is not ideal, but I think in this turn, being that I'm +1, if they are a offensive no bulk Ogerpon Fire, I have a pretty good chance to OHKO with Glacial Lance. Okay, we don't see Terra Fire. And Ivy Cudgel doesn't do very much. We would have done less than half if we hadn't Terra'd, so Terra maybe was not the right play there, but you never know. So they get the +1 with Cali Ice now. And they're extremely bulky on their Ogerpon, as we could probably tell from that Ivy Cudgel damage, so this is no longer looking good because they have the Tailwind up. I believe they have 2 more turns of Tailwind. And seeing how bulky they are, I don't want to risk Surging Strikes into the Ogerpon. And now watching this back, this is 100% a misplay. Because even though they have Tailwind, I have Scarf Urshifu, so they can't outspeed me, and they should not be able to OHKO me. So I should have always attacked here with Cali Ice. I go for the Protect, and Surging Strikes their Cali Ice. They do go for the Horn Leech. But yeah, because they're not very offensive, it doesn't do very much. But that, I believe, is out of the Surging Strikes range, just seeing how much +1 Glacial Lance did. And we do pick up, obviously, with the Surging Strikes here, so Protect was absolutely wasted, and combining that wasted Protect with the less than stellar turn 1 into them getting up Tailwind makes this game extremely difficult, to the point where I don't think that I can win anymore without them severely misplaying. So they reveal their last Pokemon, and it's Landorus. So, with the Tailwind still up, they are threatening a double KO. And now I'm forced to go for a double Protect and swap in my Amoonguss to preserve Urshifu for when the Tailwind is over. Of course, we don't get the double Protect. In all my years of playing Pokemon, I can only think of one double Protect that I've ever gotten that mattered. It was in a tournament game. But yeah, I had zero hope to get that double Protect there. So we don't, and we lose our Cali Ice. But they go for the Horn Leech into Amoonguss. So we actually still have a chance here with the threat of Rage Powder. So now I go for the Surging Strikes into Ogerpon because I cannot Rage Powder them away, so I need to get rid of them. They just go for the Follow Me as I go for the Rage Powder. Yeah, see, I think that without that Rocky Helmet chip that we got on the last turn, Surging Strikes would not have picked up there, so mental calcs were on point. And they go for the Earth Power, picks up. And so it looks like decent position to the naked eye, but you might remember that they have not used their Terrestrialization yet. And so I can go for the Surging Strikes here, hoping, but Ghost. So the other reason I think that Urshifu is not broken is because you're guaranteed to get the damage you're guaranteed to get. Like, I don't have any chance of winning here with a 6%, crit, because every attack crits. It's a low base power move that crits 3 times, so you get a little bit more damage, but yeah, I don't get that chance to get the Oko crit that you get with every other move that doesn't guaranteed crit, so because of our 2 slight misplays with the Fake Out and the Protect on Calyrex, we do go down to 6 and 2 in our day 2 run. So you can see here, it still shows us as having played 7 battles. That last one didn't register yet. I'm not sure if the servers were bogged down, but this is what was happening pretty much every game, was that it wasn't showing the last game. So actually have 18 games played, and our 9th battle of the day 2 run is against a team that I'm very heavily favored in. The difference between Chi-Yu and Entei being on the team is that Entei tends to not be Scarf, so I'm pretty much guaranteed to get damage off into it before it can attack. And if I lead Urshifu, Cali, Ice, they don't really have any switch-ins to Surging Strike's Glacial Lance. If the Entei Terras to get away from the Surging Strikes being super effective, then I pick up the rest of the KO with Glacial Lance into their Terra Normal, so that's my lead that I like here. I like Incin and Amoonguss in the back. Raikou is really good in this matchup for dealing with the Pelipper. But, like in a 3-game situation, Raikou might be an adjustment I make. But for now, I'm not even sure that they bring Pelipper. Obviously, it has wide guard, so it's likely coming. But I'm just really comfortable with my Urshifu, Cali Ice, Incin, Amoonguss game plan into Zamazenta teams, and if it doesn't work out, then in a game 2 situation, I may switch to Raikou just to eliminate the Pelipper quicker, and also gives me the option for speed control with Electro Web. And Entei falls into that range of Pokemon that will not outspeed my Cali Ice after 1 Electro Web, so we have options for the game plan. We are not restricted to 4 designated Pokemon for this matchup. And we see in the lead Flutermane and Entei. This is actually a really good lead on their part because these are both Pokemon that I'd like to focus down with Urshifu. Probably the best duo they could have led here. Okay, we do see booster speed, so they're faster than my Urshifu most likely. I'm considering switching into Incineroar to take the Moonblast, because I'm worried about them going Moonblast Extreme Speed and just picking up my Urshifu. But it doesn't really give me that much because I can't fake out their Entei because it's inner focus, so I decided let's just risk it. Let's go Terra Water Surging Strikes into the Entei, just in case they don't Terra. And we will Glacial Lance to try to pick up Fluttermane. I'm more worried about Entei than Fluttermane because Sacred Fire Burn. Whereas Fluttermane can do, you know, like 65-70% with a Shadow Ball or maybe get off a Taunt. But it's not picking up the OHKO on either of these Pokemon. Now that I've gotten rid of my fighting type. And yeah, they do go for the extreme speed. And a Dazzling Gleam. They critical hit our Urshifu, but it doesn't matter. You know, we expect to get crit. It is what it is. So we trade our Terra for their Entei, which takes a lot of pressure off of Cali Ice. And they survive, obviously, on Invisible Focus Sash. You have to be so defensive as a Fluttermane to survive a single target Glacial Lance. Like, outrageously bulky, so... My guess is that that was a roll that was probably in our favor that we didn't get. But being that I'm such a high-quality Pokemon trainer with, you know, immaculate levels of talent, I'm not too concerned about it. Now, I expect, with this Chien-Pao coming out, for them to go for the very safe Sucker Punch into Urshifu. And probably like a Shadow Ball or a Taunt into Cali Ice. So while Incineroar would be a good switch in here, I'm considering the benefits of going Amoonguss instead. Now, Incineroar coming in here would put them in a position where they might have to exhaust Terra on Chien-Pao to get away from a Fake Out, but they can also just protect. And then I have, you know, 2 slow Pokemon against 2 fast Pokemon on the field, so I'm thinking that the threat of Spore and Redirection is actually a little bit more important here. So Amoonguss comes in. We go for the casual Protect. We do see Sucker Punch. And a Shadow Ball. Okay, so good turn for us. We were able to reposition. And now, if I'd like to, I can switch Cali Ice out into Incineroar and go for the Spore into Chien-Pao, as the Icicle Crash into Amoonguss is pretty likely. But if we lose Amoonguss to like Icicle Crash crit, Shadow Ball double up, something like that, we are in awful position against the Zamazenta, so I'm going to instead use the pressure that Amoonguss is asserting and switch Incineroar in on a potential, you know, like Icicle Crash, Shadow Ball, Taunt, you know, whatever the combination could be. So kind of an unorthodox play, you know, bringing in Amoonguss and then immediately switching it out. But like I said, Amoonguss is one of those Pokemon that asserts so much pressure that it really takes the focus off of Calyrex. And I really need Amoonguss to deal with Zamazenta. So they do go for the Protect on Fluttermane. And Icicle Crash. We get the Glacial Lance off to break the Focus Sash on Chien-Pao. And now they're also in Surging Strike's range, so if we can eliminate Fluttermane's option for Dazzling Gleam, we can use Rage Powder and Surging Strikes to finish off Chien-Pao. So I am considering what to do with Incineroar. I want to just Parting Shot the Fluttermane slot to cover for a switch in to Zamazenta and just go for the Glacial Lance. My Cali Ice is faster than my Incineroar, so if I pick up the Fluttermane, like they don't switch out and I pick it up, then Parting Shot will redirect into Chien-Pao. And I think that they're in a position here where protecting their Chien-Pao does not do enough for them. They need to attack with it. Or switch it out to get rid of their Intimidate for the endgame. Which is what they do. We see the big dog come out. shiny dog. That's a shiny dog. Okay, we see a Shadow Ball. We eat that up. Nice little 50-55%. Pick up their Flutermane. Get a healthy little attack boost. And then we get the parting shot off on Zamazenta. Reactivate or Intimidate for later. And also reduce their damage of Heavy Slam into Amoonguss. So the main issue here is that we are in range of Body Press with our Ice Rider after that Shadow Ball. So I'm trying to consider who to bring in here. Now Urshifu is at risk of getting Sucker Punched, and then we just get double KO'd with Sucker Punch Body Press. So I'm thinking that Amoonguss is the best option because Incineroar doesn't necessarily threaten Fake Out because they could be Terra Ghost. So I think instead going Amoonguss puts the best amount of protection on our Cali Ice. It also gives us the option to double protect to Scout for their attacks. And Terra. Okay, so I'm +1, but I'm not convinced yet that high horsepower will pick up. It probably does, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure. So I'm considering just going for the double protect play here. This gets punished if they have Iron Defense, but a lot of Zamazentas are not running Iron Defense, and if they are, I do have Terra Water Surging Strikes left to fight through the defense boosts, as well as the opportunity to fake them out and get off 2 Surging Strikes if I can get Incineroar and Urshifu on the field together after getting rid of Qianpao. So we go for the safe double protect. We see Icicle Crash. And they body press. So they didn't cover for the Incineroar switch in. I think they were just hoping to get the flinch on Amoonguss because I should survive 1 Icicle Crash. So I will instead go for the Spore on Qianpao and switch into Incineroar, because if they don't double up my Amoonguss, I will survive, and as long as I don't get flinched, we're in pretty good position here. And if I can get rid of Sword of Ruin, then after 1 more leftovers tick, I'm very confident that I will survive a body press. Cali Ice goes out. Incineroar comes in. Qianpao goes for the Icicle Crash. Looks like we would have just barely survived. Body Press does not go into Amoonguss, it goes into Incin, so we lose Incin. But we don't flinch, we get off the Spore. Now Qianpao is asleep. And we have the opportunity to bring in our low health Urshifu. Now, they have not terastallized yet. I'm considering going for the Rage Powder because I know Zamazenta can't OHKO my Amoonguss at -2 attack and only +1 defense. But I'm feeling like being a little risky and just going for the Spore. And we have not seen their Terra yet. So I want to go for a U-turn off Qianpao. I think that if they don't Terra, it will pick up. and if they do Terra, it allows us to, you know, pick a different move when Urshifu comes back in. And we see Terra Grass on Xianpao. So if they had used that last turn, they could have blocked the Spore, but for whatever reason they did not. They lose their Terra immediately. We get to bring in Cali Ice and get some leftovers recovery if they attack into a Mungus. And they just go for the body press, we tank it. And they go right to sleep. So, mission accomplished. All the threats have been eliminated or put to sleep. We are out of range of body press without crit. And they're guaranteed to sleep here, so I can cycle my regenerator, get in Urshifu, and we should be in wonderful position to wrap this one up with a Surging Strikes and a high horsepower. With a Mungus in the back, healthy enough to take any attack they can throw at us if they wake up after one turn. So battle was canceled, GG. And so after 9 games of our day 2 run, we are sitting at 7-2. And that will be the conclusion of the video. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you on the next one. Coming soon. Y'all stay blessed. Peace.